It's time to say goodbye to hold music and say hello to fast customer support with Service Cloud. With trusted AI and data working together, you can skip long wait times and deliver efficient, personalized service right away, all while keeping support costs low and more customers happy. Reimagine your customer support with the #1 AI CRM for service. Learn what's possible at salesforce.com/products/service.
This episode is brought to you by Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business. Want to advance your career or switch fields? An MBA from Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business can help. Earn your degree from a top-ranked business school with a thought-provoking curriculum, one-on-one leadership coaching, support from experienced career counselors, and full-time, online hybrid, and accelerated MBA formats. Join the intelligent future. Visit cmu.edu/Tepper to learn more.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to this podcast. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Age of Jeremy. I am the leader in tax, investment, and business advice. Also, follow our podcast network, the Age of Radioverse, on Instagram at Age of Radioverse. Over 100 podcasts strong and growing. We just added a few more, so again, go check them out at ageofradio.org. You can also check me out on TikTok at Age of Jeremy and Twitter at Age of Jeremy Q. If you want to be on this podcast and chat, email me at jeremy.quintanilla@ageofradio.org. That is Jeremy, JEREMY.Quintanilla at ageofradio.org. We are looking for small business owners and influencers to share their stories, no matter how small, no matter how big. We just love a good story. Also, the 2022 Freedom Conference from 3T Warrior Academy. Yes, that's one of the businesses that I own. We are having a Freedom Conference, a wealth building conference, on April 22nd and April 23rd. I forgot the dates there for a second. April 22nd and April 23rd at the Marriott Hotel in Phoenix, Arizona. It is a wealth building conference. Coach JV will be there talking about mindset. Porter Shumway will be there talking about insurance and how to grow your wealth with insurance vehicles. Crypto influencer Bearable Bull will be live streamed in and talking about crypto. Jordan Harry will be speaking about speed learning. We will also have our technical analysis team and crypto research team. They're hosting panels. If you are interested in that, we are already sold out of VIP events. You can also buy a virtual ticket if you're not able to come and hang out with us in Phoenix on April 22nd and April 23rd of 2022. Again, that's the Freedom Conference. You can go to 3twarrioracademy.com and check it out, or you can go follow my good friend, or my best friend and my business partner, Coach JV, on TikTok at CoachJV_. We're about to go over that million follower mark on TikTok, so make sure that you check that out. You can also check him out on Instagram at CoachJV_. Also, actually, you know what? That is it. All right, let's get into today's podcast. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. You are listening to Age of Jeremy. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm the co-founder of Age of Radio and 3T Fitness, and, well, other businesses that I am working on. This podcast is about everything that I learn and the trials and tribulations it took to learn them. I hope you enjoy. All right, everyone. I hope you had a great Valentine's Day with people that you love. I actually celebrated my Valentine's Day kind of on Sunday. We did have a Super Bowl party at our 3T Fitness Center. It was one of our 3T events, but I didn't go because it was far away, and I spent the afternoon with my lovely wife, Danielle. You can follow her if you want at the Quintatori on Instagram. It's mainly just dogs, our dogs, Kylo and Bane. So I didn't get to watch Super Bowl. I hope that you had a good Super Bowl Sunday and got to do Valentine's Day today on Monday. And then we're also going to go do some stuff next Saturday. I think we're going to go do some Top Golf. Never been to Top Golf. We have a bunch of gift cards from Southwest Points. I think $200 in Top Golf cards from Southwest Points, which is odd because we don't fly a lot. So go figure. But I'm not going to go into any news articles today because we have a pretty long conversation about crypto. And the people that I'm talking to are are part of our 3T crypto research team. It's actually made up of some of the founding people that volunteer their time to help bring Coach JV crypto research. This team is actually growing, and we've expanded and kind of made it more in depth. But these individuals, Johnny Krypto, who's been on the show before, Abdullah, whom I call Abs because I can't say Abdullah apparently, Mario, the node defender, they were kind of some of the core people that started giving Coach JV crypto research. And I wanted to have them on here to talk a little bit about how they came into the academy, how they do their research and things like that. And we also welcome back NFT Tones. So Johnny, Abs, and the Node Defender are going to introduce themselves about the 3T Warrior Academy, how they got into crypto, how they do their research, like I said, their resources. And then we're also going to touch on how NFT Tones made $12,000 off an NFT chicken. That's right, $12,000 off an NFT chicken. So if you want to learn more about that, you're going to have to listen to the podcast. Here's my conversation. Enjoy. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Jeremy, how's it going?
Amazing. Great. How are you, Abs?
I'm awesome. I'm doing well.
Sweet. And Mario, are you good?
Doing awesome.
And
how about yourself?
I am doing amazing. And Johnny, how are you? Since I talked
fantastic.
to you last week.
It's a Friday. Fantastic Friday, baby.
Cool. And Ando or Antonio?
Mr. Tones.
Fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. And do you want me to go back to NFT Tones?
Yeah, NFT Tones.
Okay, cool. All right, that's going to be in the podcast, just by the way. So this is all recording. So anyways, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to be with me. I thought that it would be interesting for people to kind of see the research or hear the research team from how it originally started, the individuals that were part of the research team, how they became part of the 3T research team, what that possibly even means, but more importantly for us just to have a fun conversation. And so I thought that it would be really good to start off with if we did like went around the room, and I am just basing this off of how I see people on the Zoom call. So I'm going to start with Johnny to introduce himself and how he came to the academy. Mario, how to introduce himself and how he came to the academy, and then Abs, and then NFT Tones. So Johnny Krypto, if you could introduce yourself again and then explain a little bit about how you came into the academy.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. My name is Johnny Krypto, and I am the top crypto researcher and problem solver in the world. And so the way I got into the academy was very interesting. So it all started with a text message. Let me tell you, text messages are incredibly powerful. My cousin sends me a text message of this jacked up dude in a red tank top and a beard. And he's talking about, the Rothschilds and the banking system and how corrupt it is. And he's going to, change the world. And there's a whole new banking system coming, and what's this cryptocurrency stuff and how to get into it, and if you want to see his portfolio. So the minute I heard the word Rothschild in the banking system, I'm like, oh, this guy gets it. He knows what's going on. Finally, someone I can relate to who isn't brainwashed sheep that doesn't know what's happening. So I said, I gotta see more about this. So I joined the academy, right? So I joined it. And my intention was, I'm going to join for like a month or two, check out the portfolio, see what it's like, and then I'm out. So I get in there, and I check out the portfolio. I join the academy, and XRP was one of the big holdings, and there's no secret. He talks about that all the time. Now that was one of his biggest holdings. So I was like, you know what? I get burned when I buy these things all the time, so I'm just going to watch it. And I'm just watching XRP every day. I check it every once in a while. It was like 60 cents one day, couple days later, I checked it like 65, 70, 63, 55. Okay, it's in that area. And then one day it's like 44. I'm like, And the next day it's 33. And then it's down to 21. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, whew. Thank God I didn't follow this knucklehead. I was like, this guy don't know what the hell he's talking about. I was like, whew. Thank God I would have lost my shirt, So now I'm curious. I'm like, all right, how is he going to get out of this? What is he going to tell people? So I'm like, so I go to the academy. He's got right away emergency recording. There's a recording up there, and so I think he was driving in the car too. People call him, blowing up his phone. He's like, yeah, guys, people blowing up my phone. Everybody's panicking. He's like, look, if you want to sell, go ahead. But here's what I'm doing. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be interesting. And he's like, I'm doubling down and buying more. And I'm like, whoa, like, what the hell is he talking about? He's like, this is how they do it. And then, they shake you out. They create all this FUD and fear. They drop the price low and they buy everything up. And I'm like, holy shit, that's exactly what the Archilds did to the Bank of England. Yep. They lied and told everybody, that Napoleon had won the war and England panicked. Everybody sold. The whole entire market crashed. Banks crashed.
And real quick, Johnny, I just want to add to that too, because I know that when people mention that specific story about, I'm just going to say it, the Rothschilds, that specific story, a lot of people think that is actually like some weird made up conspiracy theory. That is actually not a weird conspiracy theory. That is a historical record of what they actually did and what helped them gain their wealth. And it's just interesting when you look at the Rothschilds or even the Kennedy family, which, again, not taking a side or anything, just saying specifically what happened, and then how the Kennedys made their money in like prohibition, right? And were an advocate for that so they could profit off of prohibition when we had it. And it's just interesting because that's one of the actual things that the Rothschilds did. So anyways, go ahead.
And that's exactly right. And that's when I made and Coach made that connection for him when he's like, this is what they're doing. They're creating FUD, political thing. And I'm like, holy shit. And that's what the Rothschilds, them all do, is they just do the same formula over and over again because people forget history. Yeah. So they did it back and it worked for them, in the 1800s when they bought the Bank of England in one day. And it's happened. And they've been doing that all the time. They control, manipulate the market all the time. And that's when it hit me. And I was like, holy shit, Coach is right. This guy knows his shit. So what did I do? Not only did I stay in the academy, I went to the bank. I sold everything. My cat, we sold the dog, the house, the bottles, anything I could buy. I sold everything. Went to the bank, made the biggest deposit I could have, bought as much XRP as I could. And let me tell you, that day changed my life. My account's never been up so high because of Coach. So, and at that point,
what's XRP at right now? So I think I at 78 cents or something.
Right now, I think it's around 80.
80 cents?
80, yeah, it's about a 4X.
Yeah, I saw 81 cents this morning.
But what's really interesting, Jeremy, is at one point early on, maybe last year, it was up to around almost $2, right? So that was a monster 10x from when I had gotten in, because I got in that early 20 cents range, which I would have never done if it wasn't for Coach and that text message. So from there, I was like, okay, I really fell in love with crypto. I started researching it daily. I started sending Coach stuff. And so when that happened, we started forming a bond and a connection. And eventually he asked me to join the research team, or he was going to create one. And Ab will tell you he was too. So so that's how. So it's an interesting story how we got it all together, us three. But so I joined it, and then ever since then, it's just been it's been a fantastic road here, and the Academy is such a great place. I encourage everybody who hasn't been there to go check out the 3T Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, Mario, we're going to go over to you. And just I don't mind talking. Is everybody good with the audio? Is everybody happy with how they hear it? Okay,
I just want to make sure you guys can hear me because I switched to my headphones. Is it coming in clearly?
A little more of an echo-ish, but
and that's fine.
I can switch back to the regular audio. I can take the headphones out.
Whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. It doesn't matter to me. Either way.
I'll go no headphones.
Okay, cool. No, you're good. We'll figure out a way to buy you a microphone and stuff and just send it to you.
What'd you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear anything.
Okay, cool. I think it was when you switched it and brought in some audio, and I was like, "What is happening?" No, I said I'll figure out a way, or we can get you a microphone and headset set up because it'll also. Do you have a microphone, Abs, at the house?
Oh, I need to go buy one from Best Buy.
Well, no, because with and not to let the cat out of the bag. This will go out next Tuesday, so I guess that's okay. Let the cat out of the bag. I'm imagining that it would help when you do the special program that we're working on. I guess would be a better way to do it. So.
I would say let's do a GoFundMe, but maybe that's not a good idea. Sorry, I had to say
drive to the store for me. Someone drive to the store, I'll give them the money. That's an even better deal.
All right, so Mario, if you want to introduce yourself and kind of how you came to the Academy.
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, Jeremy, thanks for having me. Thanks for having us on. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I joined the Academy October 2020. I was actually home. I was sick with the C thing. And much like everybody else, I was scrolling through TikTok and I was having my moment of watching all those TikTok dances and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden I came across Coach JV and he was talking about He was talking about XRP. He was talking about crypto and all the stuff that's going down. And I actually got into crypto back in 2017. And in 2017, I discovered XRP. I want to say this was like late November, early December. So it was like right at the end of the bull run. And I experienced XRP. I rode XRP all the way from 40 cents all the way up to the all-time high. So I watched my portfolio like explode and then rode it all the way back down. So I didn't sell. I kept my XRP the entire time, but it did kind of put me off crypto in general. I was very back then it was very scary. There was a lot of FUD constantly. I mean, everybody was talking down on crypto. I mean, people still are and governments still are, but since there's a lot more adoption now, especially from institutions, there's a lot more confidence. I mean, us that we know institutions, if their institutions are getting in, we know that it's going somewhere. So back then that wasn't the case. So I got my attention off of crypto. I kind of switched off crypto, and then Coach JV really ignited that back in me, because when I discovered it in 2017, I spent hours just researching it and trying to figure out what all this stuff was. And when I discovered XRP, and then XRP made that partnership with MoneyGram, and I remember it was like, XRP is partnering with MoneyGram. It was crazy. And then the price just exploded, and it was just crazy feeling. But yeah, so Coach JV, when I saw him on TikTok, he reignited this thing in me. But most of all, and this is honest, I joined because of everything else that he said that the program had. So like the whole mindset, I was for about 2 years at that point, I was very into personal development and just bettering myself, working on mindset and all that stuff. And that was really what made me want to join the academy. The crypto really was just that cherry on top of the cake. And I joined the academy in November then,
and that was November 2020?
2020. Yes. And then in January, the 120-day challenge started, where, JV just started promoting the 120 challenge. Like, guys, we're all going to start it January 1st or 2nd or 3rd, whatever it was, right in the beginning. And I was like, cool, let's do this. And I really indulged in it. I mean, I came off it a couple of times, but I would like to say that I was pretty consistent. And I feel like that was really my transformation, was that 120-day challenge. And that's really what made me stick around with the academy. I felt like the crypto part was something that I was already pretty comfortable with, and I understood the technology, and I was already pretty confident with understanding wallets, transfers, all that stuff, staking, DeFi.
Yeah, and also too, you made a lot of the videos that are in the academy that explain all of that stuff. So yeah, very confident prior. Yeah.
And the mindset part of the academy really was, I started noticing all these changes in my life. Like I started noticing how I was just more positive. I was becoming, waking up earlier, doing activities that promoted my well-being. I was being a better father, being a better husband, being a better boss at my business. And all these things it made me realize that that's what I needed to work on. And that was the value I was getting out of the academy. So it just took me down this path of wanting to give back to the academy. I mean, I saw how everybody in the community was just so willing to help one another. And then I started thinking to myself, like, there's a lot of people that are very new to the space, and I feel like I could help answer their questions. And then one day, fortunate enough, somebody started working on the exit strategy, and then
and who was that person?
Johnny, and then Johnny started helping out with it, and then he decided to take things a little bit further than what it was offering. And then I was like, hey, I think I could probably help with a couple of things. So I just reached out to Johnny. We started meeting up a couple of nights. And that was my entry to really getting started with helping deeply within the academy. And then it led into being part of the research team, which to this day, I'm still like, I still can't believe that I'm able to be part of the team with all of you and just be able to help people, because essentially that was my goal from the beginning. I never had any expectations, and it was just I want to give my knowledge back to the community and be able to help people.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you bring that up. And I just want to say this one thing, and then I'll give it over to Abs to introduce himself. But one of the things, because I had a call with Johnny Canuck and Kelly or Coach Kelly from the Academy a meeting. They wanted to meet with me and John about something, or Coach about something. And when we were talking about that, we were talking about this new thing that we're going to be launching in the Academy here soon. That I'm not going to say, but it allowed me to, I guess when we were talking about it, they're like, well, how are you going to give so much of that away? And I was like, well, my goal, I'll be honest, I make about the same amount of money that I did at the bank. I just pay myself through 3T now, right? And so it's not, and most of our money just gets reinvested in all of the companies. But my goal is to make sure that everybody, all of you and all of the people that have helped free John and myself, I want to make sure that all of you guys are free. And so it's just interesting to see how this whole dynamic happens. And it's never about, in my opinion, and I know there's lots of motivational speakers out there that hate when people say it's not about the money. It's not about the money for me. I know that the money will just come if you're just sharing the wealth with people anyway. So it doesn't matter to me, because it'll get there either way. And
I just want to say before we head over to apps, that's very important what you said. And that's actually, you bring that up, and that is probably the key moment in my life where I've been a business owner for 6 years at that point, and I wasn't free.
Yeah.
I was essentially working for a job. I was working for my business, but I was essentially working for a job, and I had no freedom. And that's the one thing that I learned being part of the Academy too, and just having you guys as inspiration and as coaches, role models, is just learning that you have to work on the freedom. Yep.
Yeah. Freedom's super important. All right, Abs, you're up. And then we'll go to NFT Tones, and then we will open up for more discussion stuff. So go ahead, Abs.
I'm pretty excited that this is what we're talking about, because I feel like my story is it's not exactly how you'd think it would be. So my story is one of pain, right? So my personal growth and my physical evolution came through pain. And I had this big change in my life in September of 2018, when I always identified as an athlete. I was a Division I athlete through and through. I was first team All-State senior year, second team All-State junior year, like fully committed to being an athlete. I went to play Division I, and I ended up with stress fractures all through my feet. I was misdiagnosed. I ended up playing throughout the season. And then they totally gave out, fully cracked, basically lost my right to walk for 8 months. I was in a hard cast for 8 months. Then following 6 weeks in a hard boot. And then I had to wear a special shoe for another 8 weeks after that. So I had to just tear down my identity. I went from being super outgoing and confident and full of energy to bed. And like, I couldn't get out of bed to use the bathroom. I couldn't shower on my own. It's not the most fun stuff to talk about, but it really is where my ambition came from, because I realized that my priorities needed to be in check. My athletic career, I wasn't going to be a professional athlete. I was never good enough. And I didn't really have that ambition in the first place. So I started with economics when I was 17. I was fortunate enough to get a $5,000 loan from my godfather at 15. It just sat in cash. And then when I was 17, I got really into investing, and I started purchasing just open stocks on E-Trade. And I don't even know if that's legal, but I was 17. I don't know if you can.
Trust me, there's a lot of things that I did before I was 18 that I shouldn't have done. So exactly. Whatever. And
to this day, I'm fortunate, because I've used that same mindset of just, I was always hesitant. In the beginning, I was always sharing my ideas. Like, I always had all these ideas, and I wanted to tell people and share people. And then something I'd learned about 5 years later was the concept of a dream killer. So I was always trying to share and spread my knowledge of, there's all this optimism and all this hope for all this opportunity to make money. And then I found myself in a situation where I was totally independent in the way I was thinking. There was nobody supporting this narrative that I was going to get wealthy from investing, right? Like, my dad he's an immigrant from Lebanon. He came over here when he was 19 years old. He started off pumping gas. Now he's owner of a small business. He owns a gas distribution company called Super Petroleum up in Massachusetts. And so his only way to become successful was clock in at this time, clock out at this time, and receive the required amount. Yeah. He saved cash in a bank account for 25 years. There was no 401k. There was no retirement portfolio. It was literally just cash being stacked. I call it like a big pile of sticks. And it's just like, how big can I get this pile of sticks before I die, basically?
Yeah, that's what it is.
So I lost my train of thought a little bit. But to get back to how I got into the academy was that when I shifted my mindset to economics and I ended up transferring schools, I transferred to the University of Tampa. I still had the ambition to be a student athlete, but I find myself all the time just reading economics, looking at current news, listening to Elon Musk speak, Jeff Bezos, Cathie Wood, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, like the list goes on. And I found the same energy and ambition and almost like adrenaline rush that it was to play sports, especially when I was making money doing so. So I don't want to seem disingenuous that I'm not here for the money, but I fully anticipate that I will be a wealthy individual because I've always had that ambition.
Yeah.
And it's not an inauthentic ambition. It was from day one. Like in high school, I always wanted to make money. And so that's what I did. I always worked, but it got to the point when I was 22, I was working. Believe it or not, there was hours. I worked 70-hour weeks 2 summers ago at my uncle's shop where I would work in the parking lot, and I'd run the parking lot, and they would close at like 9 p.m. So I'd get there at 6 a.m. and I'd leave at 9 p.m. and I'd work Saturday and Sunday. And it was just one of those things. So I made a ton of money, and I decided that is the last time I will ever work at a job where I'm required to clock in and clock out, because it just what I was miserable.
And it's interesting.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, go finish your thought, Abs.
I was just going to say it was interesting because I had more money than I'd ever had. And I'd always put this concept of more money, more happiness. I mean, it's so wrong when you learn about finance, obviously. But as a kid, that's what I thought. If I make $100,000, I'll feel like $100,000. And it turns out that's not the case. There's different ways of going about it. But
yeah,
what were you going to say, Jeremy?
Well, no, I was going to say that, and that's one of the things that people are always ask me, because like, if and when we talk about it, why I don't mind like trying to figure out how to pay different people in the academy, or I had a meeting with the team for my Age of Radio company that I own that does podcasts and media and stuff like that. I had a meeting with them last night. And so when I met with them and I was talking to them, like I'm being transparent with them about the numbers that Age of Radio makes and being transparent with them about them creating freedom. I don't care if I make any money from Age of Radio. I just want it to grow so all of them can just do that their whole, for their 40 hours a week. And then if there's profit after that, cool, whatever. It's more interesting to me to see things grow and to build something than for the actual benefit that it comes to me, because I was thinking about it yesterday. I was driving home from either taking Ariana to school or I don't know, from the gym or whatever. I was thinking there's not much stuff that I want anymore. Like, I mean, I want to travel, but like physical stuff, like if I never bought anything else, unless something broke and I needed to replace it, I don't necessarily know if there's anything that I really have to have. Like, I just don't feel that I have to have anything. Like, I'm fine with my car. Yeah. I'm fine with how things are. Like, I'm content with stuff, but I enjoy building things and watching those things grow. And the other thing that I wanted to mention was that you said that the clocking in and out thing. I don't think it's the work that bothers people. I personally think it's the confinement to not being able to go and do as you please when you're able to go and do it, right? So like I can get so much more done if I want to clock in at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the afternoon than if someone's like, you have to be here at 8. Well, fuck, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm not even productive anyway. What's the purpose of me being here? Let me come in when I am productive at working, when I want to do my best work and do the thing that I want to do. Yeah. And I would be more successful with that. It's more interesting to me to see Dustin and Josh, who work with us at the academy, to see Dustin and Josh produce. And I never asked them to be there. They can do whatever they want. I don't give a crap. As long as I ask them if something needs to get done and they do it, right? And I guess it's different because we don't have, like, in the case where Mario has physical stores where people have to be there for people to, have opening hours. But like, where us, we don't have that. But to see them be successful, knowing that they can come and go and please as work as much as they want and not work as much as they want, as long as the stuff is getting done, people are so much more productive that way.
You're absolutely right.
And just to branch off that, Jeremy, the biggest thing that for me was the power hierarchy that existed. It was like the adults were treating other adults like lesser than themselves because of the position. It was like somebody would show up late for work, and not only were they late for work, but now they carried all this anxiety of having to deal with their superior to explain themselves as an adult with a wife and kids and family. And it's like, I never wanted to be in a situation, because I remember this in high school, having a principal or a teacher, where someone was a disciplinary of me trying to show me how to fit in almost. Like I wanted to be myself. And if I'm going to show up late, I'm sure I have a good excuse because I know that I hold myself accountable.
Right. So. Yeah, it's like, why were you late? Well, I got into 2 car accidents on the way here or whatever the case is. Well, that's not acceptable. Well, how is that not acceptable? It's not an option.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And that's what's so great about what we have. It's like, I don't think that any of us, it's like yesterday, I forgot to text Mario back. This is a great example. And Mario calls me not because I forgot to text him back, but just because he's like, listen, that's out of character for you. I just wanted to make sure everything's okay. And that meant so much to me. I even texted him after. I'm like, I spent a lot of time thinking about that. So Mario, thank you for calling me. But it's just like, those are the type of environments where you can get the most out of yourself, where I feel like I want to kick ass because I know Mario's kicking ass and Johnny and Jeremy and Antonio. And I want to set the standard. I want to compete in a friendly way. Like, we're all doing this together to be great. And
push each
a lot of these business environments, for someone to climb up the power hierarchy, they have to pull someone down. And so it sets up this, it comes back to the power hierarchy. It's like a pyramid where you're suppressed by your superiors and you're being asked to not outperform your task.
It's funny too, because we're working on this thing. We're working on an affiliate program for 3T. I'm just going to say it because it's going to be coming here soon. And so we're finalizing an affiliate program for the 3T Warrior Academy so people can make other income, right? And it's very, very, we showed it to, Kelly and Johnny Canuck earlier, just because the conversation led into it. And so when we did that, they were like, this is ridiculous. This is amazing. The lucrativeness of it and how much of it we are giving away. But it's interesting because in the PowerPoint that I built, when John's going to make the introductory thing, there's a part that says this is not a pyramid scheme. But it's funny because when you think of a pyramid scheme, we always think of like this multi-level marketing thing, but every fucking thing is a pyramid scheme. Every corporation is a pyramid scheme, no matter how you look at it. There is a hierarchy. The people get paid based off of their downline. No matter how you look, it's all the same across the board, whether it's multi-level marketing or a C corporation.
And this is the problem with our monetary system right now too. It's like everything is balanced off one another. For $1 billion to be worth $1 billion, there has to be people suffering so that there's validation that money is worth something. And
that's true.
It can only climb so high.
Yeah. So real quick before we open up to full discussion, NFT Tones, if you are up, if you want to introduce yourself so people know who you are and can get used to your voice for when we open up for more discussion.
Yeah. So basically, I love playing video games. And I remember when I was younger, my parents would always tell me, stop playing video games. You're spending too much time on there. You can't make money. It's useless. You can't do anything with that. Gives you no value in life. Well, now, unfortunately for my parents, they were very good. And so right now I've been playing video games and getting paid like $300 to $500 a day for racing horses, doing various other things. And I'm really excited for what the future has to bring in NFTs and crypto. And how I got started was back in September of last year. I told Johnny Krypto to actually invest in Bitcoin when it was 9K, except he did not take my advice. And you got to remember, you always listen to the younger folks because they know what's good. They always know what's good.
Antonio, I love that you say that because that's when I bought my first Bitcoin was $9,000, and my dad listened, so he's happy too.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Johnny Krypto can't say the same.
Hey, so NFT Tones, real quick. How did you get involved? Because originally when the crypto research team, so real quick, so with 3T Warrior Academy, we have a thing called the crypto research team. And I like to bucket it in with a header that I like to call our analysis and insight group now. And so there's two portions of that. There's a technical analysis team, and then there's a research team. That's not an actual word that we're using inside of the academy, but I use that to help me decipher between the two groups. And so when it originally started, the research portion of it was Johnny Krypto, Mario, and Abdullah, or Abs as we like to call him because I'll say his name wrong. And then, so how did you get kind of looped into doing some of that research with them and being part of the academy in that way?
So I started to do research on Wax, and then I started showing Johnny Krypto some of these NFTs and Mario and Abs. And so eventually I started to just because it was something I was originally doing because I love NFTs and crypto. So I've always been doing a shit ton of research. So eventually I was showing Johnny Krypto like things on Wax and stuff. And some of these things ended up 20xing, going up to $1,000. Like there's land that I bought for $1,475 in Alien Worlds, and now I believe it's worth about $7K, and it pays me like $30 to $40 every day. So really it was good stuff like that we thought we could bring to people's attentions and give people potentially cash freedom.
Yeah. No,
I just want to say real quick to NFT Tones, whoever your parents are, you got some really serious dream killer parents. You should have them join the academy. They need to meet Coach and learn that dream killing is not good.
Hey, Johnny, you should talk a little lower because then otherwise it will feed back off of his microphone.
I like that, Mario. That was I was going to say, I know this is an audio podcast, but if you could see the proud look on Johnny's face when NFT Tones is going over some of the numbers, it's just... Yeah.
So, and for those that don't know, they're related. I don't know if
we're debating on if they're sharing that or not. That's up to them. I don't try, whatever. But anyway, I guess to that point though, I do want to say we have a very... So we spend... for the listeners, we spend a lot of time together. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, 4, 5 of us. Yeah, I can't count. A good thing I'm in charge of the numbers. The 5 of us. So that's why the accounting's taking so long, Johnny. Anyway, so we spend a lot of time with each other, and it's not only is it fun to see or interesting for me to see the age range between all of us, but the ability to get along and have fun, and to think that all of us were brought together from something like from John, Coach JV, and TikTok and then to see us all really be brought together because of cryptocurrency I just think is really interesting to me, and why cryptocurrency, I guess, holds even a more dear place in my heart, if you can think about that. Because cryptocurrency to me has not ever been like really... Like I wanted to get in it back in 2017, but I wanted to get a miner. And so I didn't have the money to do it, but I built one out on what I wanted to get. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this. I think this is going to be a really big technology, the Ethereum blockchain. And so when I didn't do it, and then never really thought about it again until Coach started talking about Ripple and telling me about what was happening. And then all of a sudden the academy took off, and then crypto took off. And it was really a godsend for the C word to happen, or COVID to happen, because if that hadn't have happened, we wouldn't be where we are at. And I think that that's really interesting. The way that you can come out of something that most people are going to think is a horrible situation, but come out on top, right? Because two things happened. One, we had to close our fitness center down. So we closed our fitness center down in Mesa because we couldn't be open because of the pandemic or the COVID. And then John just started playing on TikTok all day. Like he started doing like one video and then 2 videos. He was up at one point in time, he did 9 videos a day. Like the consistency and the perseverance to make. I tried it one day while I was working at Wells Fargo, and I was able to make like 9 like 3 days in a row, and after that I was beat. Like it is ridiculously to come up with content and to talk about something and to push it is just so much. But I think it's interesting how we're all brought together with that. But speaking of the crypto piece, and you guys are part of the research team, like how did and again, open discussion, how did you guys come up with like, how did it actually start? Because I don't even know how that started. I just found out one day, Coach came to me and he said, hey, these guys are going to help me with research. And I'm like, okay, cool. Do I need to know anything about it? And he's like, well, I mean, they said they would help me for free. And I'm like, okay, cool. That sounds good. Because at the time we didn't have any money. And so, so how did that part happen? Or what were your guys' perceptions of that being created as it was happening?
So I love this story because it's honestly there was no certainty in it, right? So what happened is I had been messaging Coach. I joined the academy in October of 2020, 1 month before Mario. And I had been messaging Coach, just sending him information for free over the internet all through the summer and the early fall. And then when I joined the academy and I saw what we had, I just figured like, I knew when I saw Coach, he was a special individual. I knew he was extremely unique. There's this unique aura and energy about him where you just feel the authenticity. And so I could see that after watching months and months of his content. I decided to just basically blow up his DMs until he recognized me. So we continued to have this relationship of just discussing crypto information, new crypto topics. And I can't remember how it happened, but somehow I ended up in Arizona. I got on a flight, I think it was last March, and I flew down to Arizona and I just said, I just want to be a fly on the wall for JV and I want to see how he operates. So I flew out there. I stayed for about 4 days and I just sat in his office and kind of watched what he does. how him and Kevin operate. And we had a lot of really good conversations. And I knew that I was going out there to become a part of whatever he wanted me to be a part of. And so I think that I fell into the research role because of my passion for cryptocurrency. And then these guys, Johnny, I don't know if you want to take it from here, because I'm not really sure how you came into it, but they just followed right in after me, and it was like brothers ever since.
Well, real quick, Abs, and you may have mentioned this before, but I just wanted to ask this. So you were trading stocks before. When did you make the decision, or what it, and you may have said it, so I apologize, but what was the actual decision factor that you just moved it? Because you don't do stocks. Do you still trade stocks? You do all crypto, right?
5% of long-term, like I hold Tesla, I hold Apple, I hold a few index funds, but nothing like actively trading. And so, hi, Mario's daughter. And so the big switch for me was the crash of 2020. When I saw the March stuff, I was already so economically like passionate. I was always following what was going on. And when Corona hit, I was 22 years old. I had just turned 22. And I remember thinking like, wow, the way that I had perceived the world is just one version of reality. It's not the way that things are and the way that things will always exist. It's just the way that things are now. And that's capable of changing. So once I realized that and applied it to the financial system, I mean, it's ridiculous that we're just exchanging debt on credit cards, or that we're handing cash when we have this new system that's just way more efficient, easier to log transaction, easier to get detailed payments. And it just made sense to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So then, Johnny, what did that look like from your end? I think that's where Abs was headed.
So for me, it was similar to some degree, where after I had gotten into it and Coach kind of made me a believer in cryptocurrency, I started doing a lot of heavy research and understanding.
Real quick, before that, you'd had no interest in cryptocurrency.
None whatsoever. Like you said, NFT Tones told me, I'd say back in maybe October, before I joined the academy, you got to get into Bitcoin. And I've had friends who've been in Bitcoin, and I heard of, and I'm in the technical field, so I've heard of Bitcoin for years. I've known it's out there, but I always kind of just poo-pooed it and thought, this is really not going to be anything, big back then. And then I kind of just forgot about it for a while. And then NFT Tones like, you should get some of this stuff, with 9,000. So I didn't even get into it. I joined the academy in November of 2020. November 2020. And like I said, I went through the whole process. But when I became a believer in January, when it started to take off January, February, that's when I really started becoming obsessed with crypto and saying, I need to learn, the way I am with the engineering mindset. I wanted to know how this stuff worked. I want to know.
And he's not kidding when he's not kidding. When he wants to know how something works, you will know that he's trying to figure out how something works, which is not a bad thing. It's a really good thing. I love it because it's like the truest statement anybody can say about you. Yeah.
Well, that persistence, unfortunately, could be a double-edged sword. I know it could be irritating at times, but yes, I got really heavy into it and started researching, finding all this information. And I started sending it to Coach through DMs. And he's like, oh, this is awesome. Thank you for sending. And so I kept sending. And next thing you know, it started finding itself in his videos. And he's like, oh, I got this in there, and boom. And then next year, like, oh, thank you, Johnny, Krypto, for sending me this and for sending me that. And next year, they're just making more and more of my content was making his videos. So I was like, oh, he's finding this helpful and useful. And one of the things about me is I actually like helping people. It's one of the things I think I was born to do. My wife hates me for it because you always help everybody but us. But of course, I do everything for them. But the reality is, it's about helping. So this is helping him. It was helping the academy. It was helping me. So it's just a win-win-win all around, being able to do that. And then so I started joining the Thursday crypto calls and I was helping him doing the bar charts and things like. He started asking me to do a little more. So I started helping out a little bit more. And then at one point, I think he called me the beast from the East because of all the research I was sending him. And so I asked him, hey, do you need anybody to help you do research? You're going to do and he started talking about it. Yeah, hey, I think I'm going to create a research team. And next thing you know, one day I see Abs showing up there. Hey, Abs is going to be part of the research team. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then he messages me just not that far that long after and saying, hey, do you want to be part of the research team? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's make it happen. And that's how Abs and I became the research team.
Brothers,
research, all of that. But the key thing about it is, and I'll let Mario tell you how he got drawn into it. But the thing that really made it for me was Coach's authenticity. That's really what was the key for me to wanting to help somebody like that, because I really could feel I remember him telling me stories about the time he had chances to shield coins and he refused to do it. He could have enriched himself off of shilling these coins and screwing his followers and everybody else who listens. And you know what? He refused to do it. And that just showed me an ultimate high level integrity. And not many people have integrity left in the world. And I try to hold myself to high level integrity. So do all these guys here. So whenever I find somebody that has that level of integrity, I'm very attracted to them because it's like, they're hard to find, those kind of people. There's a lot of influence out there. I wouldn't give any of my time.
Well, it's funny too. Well, I don't know if this is funny. It might be sad, but most people think that a lot of the stuff that Coach talks about it's just him trying to be a persona or something, I guess, if that makes sense. And it's interesting because when I tell the story, I have two main stories that I tell. I talk about the first time that I read the You Must Believe Way of Life book. And then there's, which is one of John's books, Coach JV's books. And then I have another story that I tell, which is about love. And the reason why I bring up both those, I use one of the stories for conferences to tell how I thought that his mindset would help people because it was so simplistic and it was like a workbook, and that's what people needed, or workbooks to say, this is what you should do. If you do this, then maybe, this should happen, or maybe this will happen in your life. Right. And the one thing I bring about love, and this is only the real reason why we're talking, because me, I'm just going to be honest, other than business practices and UFC, me and Coach don't have really that. We don't have a lot of huge things in common. Like we laugh at kind of the same stuff. So we maybe have the same kind of sense of humor when we're getting going. But like, I like playing video games. I love games in general. I like watching basketball. I like watching soccer. Now those things don't take up, a majority of my life. Like I hardly ever get to watch either of those things. And I definitely hardly get to play video games. But I like Dungeons and Dragons. I like finance and math and stupid geeky shit and space and all that stuff. And so we have these really different differences. But the one thing that we do have in common, and this is the reason why I worked with Coach and decided to do this with him for so long, was because there was a point at the bank when Coach likes telling people when he cares about someone, he tells them that he loves them. Like we say that to everybody. Like, I love you guys. When I tell Coach Tom, I think it took Coach Tom a while getting used to me telling him that I love him because he didn't see me all the time. Right. And then as I was starting there, when I was like, okay, I love you, Tom. And he's like, oh, love you, Jeremy, and so, but which he does, but I'm not saying that he doesn't, but I'm just saying that we're very I love you. I care about people. So when we used to work at the bank, there was a point in time when he got in trouble by human resources and had to have a meeting with human resources because he told team members that he loved them in the same capacity that he says it on a daily basis now. Hey, I love you. Have a good night. I hope everything's going well with your kids. If, people are having problems or whatever, and would help them. And so from that moment in time, that's when I kind of knew that he was being sincere, that it wasn't just kind of a joke, because even after he was told to stop, he didn't care. And so that's because he cares about and really in his heart loves people. And I think the authenticity is a big key to why he's successful and why we're successful and why you guys are successful. Why anybody's successful.
I think that's what draws a lot of people to him. And I know for me, that was one of the big things, is that authenticity in that. And the other thing is funny what you talked about, the love thing, that I turn over to Mario, how he got in. The love thing is so important because after being around him and the academy and you, Jeremy, and these guys, and Mario, my brothers Mario and Abs, and the whole retreat thing that happened, there was this whole spiritual awakening for me, and this whole thing of this culture of love that is something so special and so hard to find, and it's here in the academy. And it's really weird because when you come back home, and I find myself all the time doing it now, where I'm saying I love you I'm hanging up with coworkers saying I love you, and they're looking at me like, "You're what? What the fuck you just said?" And it's it's really weird. It's so contagious, and it's so we'll get into this whole high vibrational frequencies probably in another time. But the point is, this culture of love there really is something to that, and I feel good saying it now. Did I say it to anybody? And people look at me when I'm back here in this home environment, they look at me like freaking strange. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you why are you really telling another guy you love him? It's really weird. Yeah. Trying to change that culture. But around you guys, it's so comforting to just know I could be who I am and say what I want, and it's going to be received and not judged. And it's just such a special place to be here at the academy.
Johnny, and just to speak to what you said, I think that when we were all in September, we felt the tribalism. Like when we were all together in that environment, no technology, just family, really doing deep thinking, doing things like, bathing in the cold river or taking time to really breathe and feel it and meditate and feel the moment. I think those types of situations they're pushed to the side nowadays. They're almost viewed as non-essentials. And when we took that time as a group together to bond in that experience, I think that really helped create that trust of, I feel like I know Johnny and Mario, even though I haven't even known them a year. And it feels like I've known them 20 and I'm only 24. So that says a lot, right?
Yeah, and it's weird too, because that was back in September?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't meet, I just met, that was like the first time I met Mario and Johnny. I had a chance to kind of meet Abs. And I guess, no, Johnny, I met you in Vegas, but we didn't really do anything together in Vegas. Yeah. Right. But Abs I met in Vegas. And so it's just interesting that you go and you do that, but you're right. And all the things that we've accomplished since September, and it's only February of 2022, that is really exciting to see all of the amazing stuff that's going to happen because we have all of the right pieces to this business puzzle, in my opinion, and a lot of great people that have great work ethic. So,
by the way, just real quick, for anybody who doesn't know Abs, if there was a maturity scale level, he's the most mature 24-year-old you'd ever meet. I put him on a level of 50 or 60 years old. This kid is amazing. I would too.
You're like a 60-year-old man, Abs.
100%.
and Jeremy and I are like 23-year-old kids.
I was just going to say, I'm very immature. So Mario, I am going to pass it to you in a second so you can but I have to say this real quick because me and Coach were talking about something and I was like, we were talking about a situation and I said about it, I was like, it's in regards to an individual, but I said, it's really weird because I am one of the most immature people when it comes to stuff, but I take care of all of my shit. And Coach's thing was like, the reason why you're so immature is because because when you have to do the shit, you're super mature. And it's really interesting that you can see that because like when you're mature and you're getting all of your stuff done, it opens up this opportunity for you to be immature, but I'm super immature. I'm way more immature than Abs. That's for damn sure. So Mario, how did it look from your perspective when you were getting into the research team?
Before that, I just want to say, even though Abs has the maturity of a 50 or 60, I know that there's a lot of 50 or 60 that wish they looked like him.
Yeah, that's very true. That is very 100% true.
Absolutely. And see, I love hanging out with you guys because all I do is just get compliments on my looks. It's so easy.
But yeah, I kind of touched it a little bit when I was introducing myself earlier. So I just started taking initiative mostly on Discord. I started becoming pretty active on the Warrior Academy Discord. And I saw that there was a lot of people on there that had questions. And I was just trying to be active on there on a daily basis, just answering questions. Again, it was very natural. It's just like, I noticed people were asking questions. I was on there and there wasn't really anybody with a specific role at the time. So I just took initiative and started answering questions. And then the opportunity came where Johnny started working on this exit strategy, and I just had a couple of ideas. And then one day on one of the Thursday crypto Zoom calls, he mentioned that if anybody had any feedback, anything, just reach out to him, send him an email. So I believe that's what I did. I sent him an email and I said, hey, I have my own not exit strategy, but portfolio tracking spreadsheet. And I did this in order to have all the prices auto-populate. And I think we could probably do that for the Academy. So we met one night. It was me, Johnny, and I forget the name of the warrior that in it. Dave. Yes, Dave that originally started that. And and we just had really nice conversations. We worked on it. Johnny has a brilliant mind, and I was fascinated by his way of coming up with solutions. I mean, that side of him fascinated me. And I don't really know. I think I want to try and remember this correctly. I think that maybe on like the second or third night of us working on this, Johnny brought it up where Coach was putting together a research team. And he said, you know what, reach out, just ask, see if there's something you could help out. And that's what I did. I sent JV a message and I said, I'd love to continue providing for the academy. If there's anything that you feel I could be of value, then I would love to help. And I'm not asking for anything in return. I already have a job. I'm okay financially. So I'm enjoying this. I was at a stage that I was really enjoying giving back. And I guess the fact that I would never expected anything in return, that's what kind of put me in a place where I started having all this return, which is so crazy because you're doing the opposite. So it just goes back to a lot of the stuff that coach has been saying recently, which is like, do the opposite.
I just want to build on that because Mario is very humble. So when Mario reached out to me when we were doing the exit plan, I was actually, the version I had created, it wasn't automated. And I kind of wanted to automate it, but I didn't have the time in order to go research and go do it. And so Mario had reached out and said, hey, I can, he offered an idea. Hey, we can do this in Google Sheets and we can automate it. So it'll be auto-populated. I'm like, wow, that would be great because now that'll take a layer of work that people would have to do to make the exit sheet give them real-time values. It would just take that whole level and go away. It'd be so much easier and faster. So Mario gracefully offered to do that. And I remember poor Mario, I was sending him emails and we're like trying to get this out of a certain time or so. There were a couple of nights, those long nights, and we got it up and running. He made it happen. We worked together and there were some issues we had to solve and some equations and things like that. And we figured it all out and got it running and it worked awesome. It was fantastic. And Mario really was a big key integral part of being able to make it so it was automated and we can get real-time info. So that was really, really, really appreciated that of him. And what was great about it was here he was a volunteer, just as we all were. We're all volunteers, right? But the point was, as a volunteer, I was asked to do this, do that, boom, boom, boom. And he just, every single time, never a complaint, just got it done. Oh, it was unbelievable. And I'm like, this is the kind of people that the academy attracts. And so when he asked me, when I told him we're going to do the research team, we're going to build it up, and he reached out to coach and did it. And then coach reached out to me, hey, what do you think of Mario? I go, absolutely no question. He's like, well, whatever you think. He goes, I trust you. He goes, if you think he's part of the team, and we're like, absolutely. And boom, here we are. And we formed this great, and this isn't the only team. We kind of formed the foundation of the research team. But as you said, now since then it's grown and there's more people in the academy and other wonderful people doing TA and tutorials on cash flow and answering questions like Gonzo and Andrew Cashflow. There's a lot of wonderful people here working together, and we kind of see ourselves more of a crypto team now. But yeah, this was kind of the heart of your foundation of the research team as we initially got it together, us three.
So as a research team, because there is so much the only reason why I don't have as many NFT, I'm just going to start with just mention NFTs just here for a second. I don't have a lot of NFTs because I don't have the time and energy to care about it, to go and research the way that say NFT Tones does or Abs does or Jackie does. Or Mario, I don't know if Mario does a lot of research on specific.
No, I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah. And so I have only really bought in certain things if someone else had said, like, I own Wax because of NFT Tones. I own Block because of you guys, obviously. And then when I think of some of the other stuff that's in my XRP is because of Coach, obviously. XLM is because I fell in love with XLM just in general. And so, which Ab still is like, why do you love XLM so much?
No, I have a bunch of XLM. This is my second largest holding.
So my question is that, how do you guys research it? And how do you guys, we'll start with coins specifically, because I know that there's different areas of cryptocurrency. But like when you're trying to find new projects or new coins, how do you guys go about finding those on whether or not it's something that you should bring to us for us to know about, or something that you guys want to add into your specific portfolio? Whoever wants to start.
Oh, I'll take it. So in the beginning, it was really difficult. I used to just spend a lot of time on like crypto Twitter. And I would even go to Google and just enter Ripple and then go to the news section. But now I've realized that my knowledge is compounding, obviously. And so it becomes easier and easier to pick which direction I want to go in. And so I'll actually like identify a problem. Let's say like, for example, with Ethereum, one of the problems I'm identifying now is that these NFTs all run on Ethereum, right? So they have massive gas fees. So the next big problem that's going to be solved is creating a platform that's going to have zero to no gas fees. Now there's Matic, Solana, Kusama. There's so many different platforms. So what I'm trying to do is figure out which of those platforms is going to succeed and why is that success going to take place. So I'm really getting into the in-depth part of it where it's like, I'm so deep into the infrastructure of understanding what crypto is and the problems it solves. But in the beginning, what I was doing is I was really just going to influencers I trust and building off their knowledge, like JV. So if JV created an XRP video, that would give me the initiative to put in a few hours of research on Twitter, on Google, on the company's websites, and just digging deep. Because a lot of times I'm going looking for one thing and I learn something I never would have guessed, but it ends up being the reason that I buy. So that's just pretty much what I do.
So kind of do a search for, so what would that look like? So if I was wanting to do that, what would I do?
So if I'm going to look up XRP, for example, I'm going to go to my iPhone, open up Twitter, go to search bar, put the $sign in, and then XRP, right? So then I'll search it up and the most liked post will come. So I'll see, oh, what's going on for today? But then as I get deeper and deeper, it goes from chart analysis to almost like opinions on political situations.
Got it. Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool. And then Johnny, I think you wanted to say, you had something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I can tell you how I do it too. Or, I've been talking about some Mario, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of the same as Abs got. I mean, as you get into it, you kind of start developing your own channels of information. And for me, it really became just a few key people, groups that I started following, whether it's on Discord or Twitter. And I really started filtering out, and especially in the last 6 months, and specifically with YouTube, I started filtering out a lot of the information or a lot of the channels that I'm subscribed to. And really just sticking with the ones and consuming content that I feel is most beneficial and stays consistent with real, in my opinion, real world utility projects. But to be honest, most of the information just comes. I know it sounds weird, but it just appears naturally, I guess. But I know it's because of the amount of time and effort that I put into making sure that I'm following the right people or following the right groups, being in the correct groups. And yeah. And then again, like Abs was saying, you kind of just realize a gap in the industry. And then you sort of start digging down that research in that gap, and you come across a new project, for example.
Yeah. It's a similar approach, right? So the way I do it is you really want to cast out as many nets as you can, and you're putting those nets out there of information. And so I've joined several groups, right? So I'm in chat groups, or some are in paid service groups. And within those groups, you've got a lot of new type of information, new coins coming out, or some of these are great because they're tied into these large investor companies, and those guys, they got lots of funds behind them and a ton of analysts researching this stuff. And so what you do is you want to see where they're investing. And because if they're investing, like for example, Chili's, when we got into that one, that was a big one. That was like 8 cents. It was cheap. And Axie Infinity, both of these were skyrocketed, or Axie especially. When we found those, it was primarily from a lot of following what the big boys are doing. But you can't, you got to pay for that type of research to get that in. And then what happens is you start listening to that and you start building that network of information. So I've got all these different channels, as Mario said. Some are paid channels, some are unpaid channels. You start forming it. And now the funny thing is, Jeremy, I don't have to go look for the information. Like Mario said, it comes to me now. Yeah. So, it's just there.
Do you think
it's
that's just because you got so involved with it? So like for someone who just starts getting involved with it, then they'll be in a place where that information kind of starts coming, and then they can look at it, decipher if it has any real value to them, and then decide if that's something they need to go do more research on.
And then it becomes a ricochet effect. So for example, one of the places I was getting information from early on was Altcoin Daily. Those guys are great because every day they'll put out 5 or 6 different coins. And then, you might go research one, and then you realize that it's tied to something else, and you go down the rabbit hole and like, oh, wow. And then you turn and you stumble onto something that you didn't even know. And you're like, holy cow, this is big. And so that's kind of how it works. But it is time consuming. I mean, you are definitely putting those pieces in place. And now for us, as we've become more advanced and understand the industry, that's the difference. We understand it now. We recognize it's segmented. So there's utility coins, there's DeFi coins, there's DEX coins, there's metaverse coins, gaming coins. There's all these different. This world is just This area is huge.
Do you think that it's starting to get segmented that way? Because it's getting, so the question, so do you think it's becoming segmented that way because the space is getting so large, or do you think it's been that large and it's becoming segmented because now people are trying to understand it more? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, go ahead.
Oh yeah. I think that it's always been that way, and that people are trying to understand it, and they're trying to take old concepts and apply them to this new market so that they have a better understanding of what's taking place, right? So like, for example, with our video we did today on Meta, I found it easy to compare it to Decentraland, but it's almost, you're not owning the infrastructure. And that might not be the best example, but you have to compartmentalize these similar projects, because if you don't, it's too confusing.
Exactly. And what's great, Jeremy, is some of the coin exchange or coin sites that help you, like CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. Anybody who's getting started in the space, I would highly encourage you to go start there first. And what's great about there is they've got categories, and there's like 40 or 50 categories. And you can go through there and you can pick the category you want, and you'll see the coins listed under that category. So you could click Metaverse, and boom, you'll see 40 or 50 coins, and they're ranked too from market cap number 1 all the way down. So, it's a really helpful tool and a good place to get started if you're a novice and you're getting in it and you don't know where to go. Start with CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and you can really get a feel for just how many. First of all, just learning the categories. I mean, there's like 40, 50 categories in itself. That's a task and undertaking. And then within each one of those, there's hundreds of coins. I mean, we're talking 20,000 coins out there, right? So it's a very, very big space, and it's so new. There's so much white space around it that nobody knows what's going to happen. And in terms of where these coins are going, the reality is most of them are probably going to end up as shit coins and dead and go away when we get regulated. But there will be some key ones that have value, utility, solving real world problems that are going to survive. And that's what this team, that's what we're not bringing. If you're looking, anybody's listening, if you're looking for shit coins, don't come to the 3T Academy. We don't do that. That's not what we're doing.
That's
here.
100%. We're trying to build.
We're bringing you long-term, sustainable, and they're not. I shouldn't call them coins because they're really technologies. Each one of these are really technologies.
I'll be honest, I just like saying the word coin when I talk about it.
Yeah,
I always get when I'm about to say it, I always just like think in my head, like for some reason time slows down, and should I say coin? And then I decided to say it because I enjoy that word so much, because it reminds me of the Super Mario Brothers coin. So every time I hear coin, I just think of that little golden coin, and I like applying that word to this specific space when it comes to cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah. But the reality is that it's almost a sin though that these technologies are labeled coins and currencies, because they're more valuable than that. The problems that they solve, like for folks who are out there, XRP, right? If you sit there and what does it do? It's really not. It's a currency, but it really solves a major cross-border payment issue problem that the banks have. Quant, another big one solves. And all these things have certain problems they solve.
And I just want to say the reason why the XRP thing. So I always joke around because I love XLM, but the thing is that with XRP and or XLM, obviously one's more personal focus and one's more corporate focus, like with with the partnerships and what it's planning to do. But I don't think people understand that XRP and XLM especially XRP, solve one of the biggest problems in banking. And I don't think people understand it because people don't. And so because people think of these currencies as ways to get wealthy, right? They just think of, I hear XRP. I see that this value is going up. I'm going to go put my money into this so I can get wealthy. And so do you think that that's why most people are in cryptocurrencies? Or do they care about what it is that the project's actually doing?
If I had to guess, I would say 1% or less of the people who are in it actually care about the project, and maybe 2 or 3% know what it actually means, what it does, what real world solve. The rest of them, they're reading off the hype of the media, and they're FOMOing in. For those who don't know what FOMO means, fear of missing out. They're FOMOing in because they want to get rich quick. That's what they're doing.
Right.
And a lot of them are going to lose their shirt. And that's why you want to come. That's another value of the Academy. What we bring to you is helping you understand the real true value, teaching you, not to panic when people are panicking, have an exit strategy in place so that you don't get wrecked, on the way down. So you don't, these things go through these very euphoric pumps. And if you don't have an exit plan, and I didn't in the past and in stock, I'd watch my account go all the way up and I'd watch the damn thing come all the way back down. Not realizing it's a simple thing that coach actually instilled in our minds was, you got to have an exit plan on the way up. Why aren't you getting out small pieces at a time? And that is transformational. Jeremy, I used to worry all the time and watch now I don't bother them. I don't have to because I got an exit plan. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. And it was funny too, because we spent a lot of time talking. I never, when Johnny tells me how often he checks his wallets, and I maybe check my wallets once a week, I'm like, what's going on with my cryptocurrency?
Well, don't bother checking them because you can't. At today's day and age, you won't even be able to know what your account is doing right now because there's no solution that brings all your coins together, unfortunately, in a good way.
That's true. So, Mario, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I was going to add, Johnny touched on the subject of, we were discussing the fact of whether people are coming in because of the money they can make, or is it because of the technology? But I think it's fair to say that initial, at least my approach, it was the fact that you could make money. But then as you start understanding what it is that you're investing in, and the type of people that really want to understand what they're investing in, they will eventually see it for the technology, just like we do see it and end up staying for the technology. But yeah, most people are just in it for, I get some of my friends and employees and stuff just asking me all the time, hey, what's the coin that I should invest in? It's like, okay, you should invest in this one, but okay. They don't even ask me but what does it do?
It's interesting.
Why?
It's funny too, because we all meet the five of us. We joke because we feel that we understand this space better than the SEC and IRS, and 100,000% believe that we do. And so the thing is I think that people just look at these cryptocurrencies or these crypto coins, that these are just very similar to stocks, and they aren't really similar to stocks. And we're trying to classify them in that category because they sometimes similarly move to the way that stocks do because of how you can buy and sell them. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems, because me and Johnny were talking about this at some point in time. I don't remember what call we were on, because we have so many calls sometimes, is that me and Johnny were talking. And the reason why I like the blockchain is because the ability to securitize, or not securitize, but to make secure voting. And we were talking about it because, to me, that is the most powerful thing. If you can find a way where we can become in a society where we're able to provide more things to the people in a secure way to vote on. So then that way, the people that are in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, if you're in the United States, right? If you're in the House of the Senate, those people keep those positions for very long periods of time. And because of that, and because of their ability to market themselves and to continuously get voted, to get voted into their position, right? And to be able to hold that seat for life, right? And to keep running and doing it over and over again. The problem is that I don't think that they're making decisions that we would all have made if we were able to vote on them. And I think that we were able to get into a better voting system where we could use the blockchain to have a secure voting system where we could have other things go out to the people to vote on. And
think about it, Jim.
Yeah.
Think about it. We have a voting system and 535 people that are supposed to represent what we want. Because when the system was created 200 years ago, there was no way for 300 million people to vote. Today, look at freaking America's Got Talent or America, you can vote.
Like American Idol. And
American Idol.
All of
you
that.
can vote instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly, right? In today's technology, there's absolutely no reason why the power of voting we don't even need 535 of those people. No, we don't need them because they can be bought and paid for, right? And we know they are. Whereas try to buy off 300 million people, you can't. And the blockchain brings that power back to the people. The question is, are the elites who already have control going to give it back to us? Highly unlikely. But you're absolutely right. This blockchain technology is so powerful because it can do that. It can restore the faith of voting, number one. Number two, I don't know if you got, most of you probably know, so I don't know, maybe some people don't. Only about 50 to 55% of people actually vote in elections. And that's a good year.
That's a great year.
That's an extraordinary year.
And look at it in the freaking cities and in the states. the voting turnout for like local votes is even smaller. It's like
smaller,
5%. Yeah. Like it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But if you had this type of voting system, it's right at your fingertips with today's technology, and it's secure with the blockchain. Everybody could vote. Everybody's voice could actually be heard.
Yep.
But let's face it, millennials and people of, below millennials, they don't want to go through the trouble of going to a place to vote or even sending in a ballot. I mean, they need, it's just like what Johnny said. They need to simplify the process or add more ways for it to be easier. Because I speak for myself. I don't see myself going somewhere to vote.
Sometimes I forget if I have to go. Yeah. Like if I do a mail-in ballot, I would totally forget that the vote was even happening. Yeah.
But if you could do it on your phone,
but if I could do it on my freaking phone,
boom, 100%. 89% people would vote in this guy. Maybe even 90%. You have a 90% vote rate.
Yeah, it would be pretty high. What were you going to say, Mario?
Abs.
Oh, or sorry, Abs.
I feel like as a younger person, I feel like I came into a system that wasn't built for me. I feel like I came into a system.
1,000%.
It wasn't.
Whether it was elementary school, the education program, all the way through to politics and how we pick our political figures. And also, the biggest thing that was troubling to me when I started to understand finance was the money system. That money isn't, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but money isn't a natural thing. There's not a finite amount of money. So every year, the only way that the rich can continue to get richer is if they let the printing press run. And so when the money was originally created, it was for allocation of resources, right? And then we had such an abundance of wealth that it became a backwards game where wealth it used to be validation for good work. And now you go and you get the wealth, and the wealth is validation. So the tables have turned. I'm not sure if I phrased that correctly, but it flipped the whole system to where the whole game is just getting money. It's like Peloton, just to go on a little tangent here. During the pandemic,
don't get me started on Peloton, but go ahead.
What'd you say? Sorry?
No, I said, don't get me started on Peloton, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's a perfect analogy. It's like when Peloton came out and it was March of 2020, they had these perfect circumstances where they were able to give you a home workout. All the gyms were closed. Everyone was locked down. Supposedly everyone was dying and we're flattening the curve, right? It turns out that their market cap as a stock surpassed Spotify at one point. And so you're sitting there and you're like, there's this bike company. They don't do anything unique except they put a computer screen on a bicycle and put it in your home. And they're now worth, and I'm just going to throw a fake number out here, but let's say $10 billion. The whole system is backwards because people are investing in that stock just on the fact that they think it's going to go up. They don't care about the product anymore.
No, and that's one of the biggest things. I remember the first time. So this was a long time. This was a while ago. I can't even remember what year it was, but it was a while ago. Peloton opened up a store inside of Scottsdale Fashion Square, which is a luxury mall here in Arizona. It's the only luxury mall in Arizona. Like it's got like Gucci stores and Louis Vuitton stores and like really high-end shit, Prada and stuff, right? And so they had one, and I don't know if it was a seasonal thing or what, but I looked at that, I was like, this is the stupidest thing. You don't need that to sell what you're selling. Why are you wasting the money on this space? And it's interesting because they get flooded with a bunch of cash. And I've never been a fan of Peloton, not only because other companies do it. Once Peloton started doing it, and then some of the other larger companies like NordicTrack, they just created the same. They just took the idea. They already had a bigger infrastructure and started adding it. And so you see this happen a lot, especially as younger and it's nothing against young. It isn't about younger generations versus older generations. It's just about, you see it a lot with younger generations, is that the purpose of a stock, it's the actual value isn't anything intrinsically involved with the company. It's only whether or not someone's willing to buy or sell it. And that's why it's so easy now for people to get confused, especially when they're new into the stock market or any market, when you see these pump and dump things like, oh, well, it's going up, it must be a good thing, so we'll keep putting money into it. It doesn't mean shit. It just means at that point in time, people are willing to buy something for that amount of money. And that's all that it really, really means. And it's really difficult now, especially to talk to people, because day trading is really fun. I'm not going to lie. Charting is super fun, in my opinion. I'm that kind of geek. I like charting. I like math. I like algorithms. I like all of that stuff, right? But when you try to tell someone, because I've met some family members who've put a bunch of money into Doge and to Shiba and then didn't get outright, and it just rides it up and down. It's like there's nothing systemically valuable or non-systemically valuable inside of that that coin, right? Is that it's just it's going up because people are buying it, and it's going to go down when people sell it. There's nothing else that will kind of find a level ground where it can stay and slowly make these maintain these gains, right? And so it's difficult to say, well, this is what the chart is doing. Well, yeah, that's one piece of the puzzle, and that's fun, but we could also look at what is it doing besides that? So like when people ask me like, oh, do you think XLM and XRP will go up? Absolutely, 100% yes. Eventually they will go up. XRP is obviously not going up because of the lawsuit. XLM is just following the market right now, and no one gives a shit because unless something's skyrocketing, no one wants to be involved with it. But like
there's no attention.
Right, there's no attention to it. But if you were talking about like valuable things in existence, there is nothing more valuable, in my opinion, than Ripple and Stellar in what they are trying to accomplish. And
just to build off that, Jeremy, the reason why Jeremy is saying that is because on-demand liquidity right now, we do $5.3 trillion in cross-border payments per day in on-demand liquidity. So when people say flip the switch with XRP, that's because in theory, they get approved to be used for on-demand liquidity. And then you need this massive market cap in order to handle all these transfers. You can't dry up the system when England's going to transfer $1 trillion over to America, let's say. And that's why I love XRP and Stellar, because you can directly tie an increase in price action to this flip of the switch event. You can tie it to a use case.
Yeah,
I think sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mario.
No, I was just going to add real quick. I think it's fair to say that we go through hype seasons, and, we go through the DeFi hype season, and then we have the shit coins, and then we have metaverse now, and then the gaming tokens. And I think people just sleep on all this other stuff that's severely like undervalued, in my opinion, because we have a market that's up by like 10x, right, on certain projects. And yet people think that they can just come in and still make another 10x on top of that. Why not look at a project that is maybe only up like 2x? If the whole crypto market is up by $2 trillion, or right now it's up by $1 trillion, compared to how it was a couple of years ago, why not compare some projects that are not up equivalent to the rest of the market, and take your chances with those? Because we all know that eventually, and being projects like we were discussing, XRP and XLM, that have real world utility, have companies behind them that are making significant partnerships, it's fair to say that it's going to happen at some point, and you just have to be patient.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I got a one-word answer for you why people aren't patient, right? Because of greed. That's the bottom line. It's greed, right? And they know, like, hey, if I can get 10x, why the hell would I? Listen, if you get 2x in the stock market, you'd be doing monkey flips, okay?
Oh, fuck yeah. And now, to that point, right. Adobe's down to like 425, right? So it was up at 688 was the high. And so my price target within this next year, I have it going back up closer to 700, maybe 750, right? And so I just sold a bunch of stuff and just bought more Adobe because it's one of the best companies. But you don't think of that, because for me to get something where I can purchase $400 worth of stock, right? When you think of crypto, I have to either save that to be like, okay, I'm saving this specific money every week so I can get $500 to buy one share of Adobe stock, or I can go out and buy, how much fucking XRP would that buy? Right? And the fact that I'm only going to get, if it goes up, what's that, 34%, 35, maybe 40%? That's unheard of in the stock market. But when you find a good company and this happens, you can go out and buy more of it. But you're absolutely right, Johnny. You will not find 10x. You will be lucky if you end up in your own portfolio at where the stock market traditionally trends, which is around 8%.
Yeah, but what's interesting is we're in an extremely unique situation right now. We are in almost like, if you date back to the 1987s or 1990s, when right before the internet began to take off, we're in that same kind of unique time period again, where we have the ability to get into technologies that are going to drive the future for the next 30, 40, 50, 100 years. And people don't see it because greed, right? They're looking at the greed. They want the 10x, they want the Shiba, they want the quick pump and dumps. Whereas what we do in here at the Academy is we're training ourselves and all our warriors to make sure you're getting in sound, fundamental, real world problem solve, utility type investments that are going to be there, and they're going to grow, and they will grow from where they are today.
Oh, absolutely.
To 10x or maybe even more, significantly more. And the nice thing about when those grows, they're going to be sustainable growth. So you don't have to worry about catching the top and trying to sell it real quick within 3 minutes because, Shiba went up here and then it's down here. Right. And you missed it because you went to the bathroom. So you didn't have time to sell and now it already dropped. Right.
And so just so people get a concept of that is me and Mario were working on accounting earlier, and there were purposes in this project that we're working on, or points in this project that we're working on, where we had a certain amount of money in a wallet or an account in our accounting software, QuickBooks. And then when he moved it, it was at a completely different price point. And I'm like, how did that money get in there? And he's like, oh, that was just the money going up in the market. And it was literally the same day. Almost. Yeah, it was all on the same day. It was an hour. Yeah.
1 hour.
1 hour. And I'm like, so you're absolutely right, Johnny.
Here's another example, Jeremy, is that when Elon Musk went on SNL and Doge peaked.
Oh, don't even fucking talk to me about it.
You can check the price chart right now. It went from 71 cents to 41 cents while that program was on TV.
Yep.
I saw that. I remember watching that live.
I have a really funny story about. So that weekend, I got a haircut and I went to an ice cream shop. While I was at the haircut, right, and I went to the ice cream shop with my wife. Well, I was just like, oh, I'm going to go have a haircut and ice cream.
Hopefully you saw your Doge before you went to get the haircut.
So, I literally hardly sell anything. I'm like the worst when it comes to taking my own advice. I'm horrible at it.
Hey, there's an academy that teaches exit strategy.
Yeah, no, I know, and I'm just gonna. Or what happens is Jackie will tell me something because I see her, and she's like, Jeremy, don't forget to do this. I'm like, okay, cool, and then I'll go and do it. Right? Okay, so point, I went to get the haircut, and while I was sitting there, this girl I usually have this one girl that I like to go see, and she's done my haircut for years. And if I had the money, I would literally hire her as just my haircut person, so I could always get a haircut when I want it. And so she wasn't there, so I had let this other person do my hair, and she was maybe in her early 20s. She literally was just talking to me and trying to get me to buy Dogecoin. Like, why is the hairstylist talking to me? I didn't even bring up the conversation. It was just like she brought it up in the conversation that weekend that he was on SNL and was talking to me about buying it. And then about how she can't sell it because of capital gains tax. And I'm like, well, if you just bought it and you're just going to sell it, or how long are you selling it? Did nothing she was saying made any logical sense to me. So I was like, okay, cool. I had the conversation with her. I left. So then when we went to ice cream that night, it was literally the same night. Okay. We went to ice cream that same night and we were standing in line at this ice cream shop. So the shop's so small and it's in downtown Phoenix. So there's a line that comes outside. So you're kind of outside while you're waiting to get into the store. Right. And so there were these people sitting at like a sit down station. There was a girl and a guy on their first date. It seemed like they were on their first date. And all that he was talking about was Dogecoin to her. And how she needed to get into investing.
That's a terrible first date.
And she was fucking horrified. Like, why are you talking about this on your first date? And Danielle, because Danielle was with me, my wife, and she was like, I don't think that's going well for him.
It must have been a Tinder date.
Yeah, something. I have no idea. And so he was talking about how his stepdad was the person that got him into Doge. And based off of his age and based off of my age, I'm assuming his stepdad was probably like, it could have been my son. Like, he was like just 17, 18 years old. So the stepdad could have easily been my age or maybe a little bit older, right? And so it's like, okay, so there's this millennial that's telling him to buy Dogecoin, and now he's telling it to this girl on their first date. And I was like, this is getting a little weird and crazy. And so then when we got inside of the thing, the people that were talking about the people that were doing the serving the ice cream, they were talking about Dogecoin. Like every conversation that I had that night was about Dogecoin, and then Elon Musk went on SNL and it crashed.
And that, by the way, is the kiss of death.
Yep.
They tell you that and this is for everybody who's listening, if your hairdresser or the clerk, cashier in the store, or the ice cream person is talking about Doge or any coin you're in, get the hell out. Because seriously,
it's a true story.
All the good they tell you, all the good stock finance bro will tell you, when everybody in the whole world's talking about it, what does that mean? It means it's saturated.
Yep.
If it's so saturated, I mean, there's no more. The way I try to envision this, right, is just this pool of money. That's it. And it's going to go. So it's going to go into something and out of something. Well, once all the money is in, guess what? There ain't no more money going in. If there ain't no more money going in, it can't keep going up.
Yep.
And that's so when you start hearing about something you're in, and if you hear the cashier or the ice cream girlie or you're the first day talking about get the hell out. That's your first warning sign.
It was just a ridiculous weekend that week. I was like, what is happening?
And what happened, right? The elites knew this. They knew Elon was coming on. They were pumping it up. And what were they doing? They dumped right in the heart of it. Right when it was at its maximum saturation point, the elites dump. And so that's the way to play the game. So you know the game so you don't get played is sell when everybody's talking. You know, you always hear it from Berkshire, right? Where Warren Buffett selling his blood in the streets, right? So we have this cool thing called the Fear and Greed Index. We follow that. And you want to do just the opposite. When people are greedy, you want to be selling, and when people are fearful, you want to be buying.
So I'm glad I kept this to a half an hour podcast. So I do have,
half hour segments.
Yeah, half hours. I do have two questions that I do want to that I really, really want to ask. So
that's another 2 hours.
Well, I know, but I'm going to try to field it a little bit so we can, and so you guys can go back to your lives. And I appreciate you being on.
We love this life. So, this is our life.
So the one thing is, so out of the projects that are going, actually, no, let me ask the other one first. So when did non-fungible tokens get on your guys' radar as a research team? And when did you guys start with, like, was that when you guys found out about it? Did you automatically start talking about it in the academy, or how did that part happen? And then how did, NFT Tones get involved with the NFT? Because I feel like I woke up one day and then everything was about non-fungible or NFTs. Like I literally feel like everything was, crypto, XRP. And then now all of a sudden non-fungible tokens are NFTs. So how did that happen for the academy and the research team?
I could tell you for me, how it happened for me was one day I woke up, NFT Tones comes up to me and goes, Dad, look, my chicken's worth 13 grand. And I'm like, what? You're like some stupid race chicken. I'm chicken. And then my wife comes up to me and goes, holy cow, you're not going to believe this. Your son's chicken's worth like 12 grand. What are you talking about? What are people talking about? Chicken. And he shows me this freaking race chicken or something. And
Chicken Derby, to be exact. Chicken Derby.
Chicken Derby. There it is. Chicken Derby. Like, Dad, my chicken's worth 12 grand. And I'm like, what? How much you pay for it? Oh, like $200. I'm like, holy shit. And
I'm wow. I got that out of the mint, to be exact. So that's why I was so young.
And I don't know the exact numbers, but the point is that's Jeremy. For me anyway, when it dawned on me, like, holy shit, this kid is onto something. There is really something going on, and there's an NFT craze going on right now. And NFTs that's like another conversation for a whole nother day. What they do, but that's for me. When I started to see he turned his account, like he quadrupled or 6 or 7x his account in NFTs, which I was barely doing in coins. I'm like, wow, there's another whole world here. And that's when I started mentioning it to Coach a little bit. And I think these guys started to talk a little bit about it. But yeah, for me, it was NFT Tones that brought it to my attention.
So how did you guys learn about NFT? Like, how did that happen for you guys?
For me, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually, I did start hearing about, the Bored Apes and that cat with a rainbow, whatever it was called. But really when it started just really getting my attention was when NFT Tones was like, oh, there's these chickens and you can race with them. And I'm like, what? And it's like, yeah, you can sort of like a horse, the horse races and stuff. And it's like, okay, all right, let me look into that. So I almost bought some of those chickens, but the worst part is that I got my employee to buy some of those chickens. And then he got really upset because the game was never coming out. But I think he ended up selling them for a profit. But,
nice.
But really just to end it, the first NFT project that I bought into was these axolotls. So it's a little, there's these creatures called axolotls, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, and they're about to go extinct. So this whole project was about raising money to create aquariums to breed them, to basically save them from going extinct. So there's really cool utility, and
that's cool.
Yeah, and then the next one was the gambling apes, but I'm not very deep into NFTs, just like you.
Yeah, I have a mole, and there's no value to me for whatsoever. It was just I liked it because it was a cute little mole, so I bought it. Like I have a hard time buying stuff that I don't care about. Like if I have no real care for it, I can't find myself buying it. Like the most, like when when it comes to like, say, Blocktopia, when you guys were talking to me about it, I got so excited because that seemed like a really cool effing thing. Like, this is a cool thing. I love this. So I went and bought it. But like with the NFT arts, from the virtual side of it, what they're getting into with the gaming metaverse side, that I don't have a problem buying. Like, I almost spent like $5,000 on a pumpkin stand for Townstar. And so, because that game is super addicting and pumpkins are dope. But like, Abs, how did you find out about the NFTs? And then we'll have NFT Tones talk about NFTs for a moment.
So I'm not really, I didn't have like a moment where I like came to NFTs. I was always kind of familiar with what they were.
Yeah.
But now that I've dug super deep into them, once I got the idea that these are just digital contracts that are locked into the blockchain in perpetuity, you're buying this value, and it may not hold its value, but you are buying this value, and that value symbolizes something. It was easier for me to wrap my head around it. And so I'm super big into the community part of it, where I actually believe that the only projects that will survive are the ones where people are passionate, like Jeremy's talking about. He just said he can't make himself buy something unless he cares. And what's the opposite end of that? That he's willing to buy something irrational if he does care. And so that when I see these Metacard purchases or these VFriends purchases, where the whole point of paying $5,000, it's not for the JPEG or the digital art. It's for what it symbolizes. And what it symbolizes is this social currency of, hey, look, man, I'm cool. I'm associated with Nelk, or I'm associated with Gary Vaynerchuk, or now I have these opportunities to go to these exclusive events. And that's where I think people can really wrap their head around it. Because when you compare it to a Gucci belt or to a Rolex, people are kind of like, well, I don't need that. But when you think about it like, hey, you and your best friend get to go to these live events, and who knows where that could lead you, that's where it really begins.
Absolutely. And so NFT Tones, tell me about Chicken Derby.
So Chicken Derby basically is still not released yet, but they're working on the beta and everything. And so like right now, a closed selection of people can actually race. So I don't have access, but a couple YouTubers and popular people do. From what I've seen, it looks really, really cool. Right now in the beta that they haven't implemented like the actual abilities that the chickens have, but like all the chickens will have abilities, and like it kind of reminds me of like a Mario Kart. I don't know. It seems really cool. We got to see where it goes from here. But like, I really like the idea, especially like after seeing Zedrun and Pegoxy and all like how all this stuff is like running. The chickens also have their own metaverse coming too. So I think it'll be like interesting. You'll be able to walk around as your chicken.
I wish people could see Mario's face when he said this.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, are you going to be the chicken, or are you going to walk around with a chicken, like a Pokemon game? Chicken becomes your Pikachu.
Are you the chicken or the
egg? So you are your NFT basically. So you're your chicken running around in the world, like. But like it looks like it's web based. So like you'll have to type in chat to talk, but you'll be able to talk to other chickens and stuff. It'll be cool.
Have you ever tried to run with chicken feet?
I mean,
so what's your NFT Tones? What's your favorite project? And then we'll go around to anything NFT, metaverse.
Right now, I have to say my favorite project is probably Pegoxy, because I am making a killing off of it. I'm making like 300 to 500 a day just running horses. I race horses.
And just to we talked about this. I don't know if we did it on actual recorded audio last week with Johnny Krypto and NFT Tones, but I'm going to figure out. I found everything that I need to get for us to all do a Twitch live stream using Zoom, but feed it up through Twitch. And then we can kind of or we can use Twitch Studio, whatever. But I have the capture cards and everything I want to get to do it all. And then what we'll do is we'll actually do a live Twitch, and we'll watch some of these Pegoxy races, and we'll race while we talk about it.
Nice. So, that'd be awesome. And the chicken derby too.
And the chicken derby.
When that goes,
and I also want to get somewhere live other than on the 3T Academy channel that I can just turn into a GIF of Johnny trying to get up on that dragon in what was the game? What was the game again? What game was
Decentraland.
Decentraland. Every time I want to say never mind. I won't tell you what I want to say. But Decentraland. Okay, so Abs, what's your favorite project right now?
Metacard. Full Send Metacard by Nelk. I think it's going to be the next exclusive community for people under 25 that want to be reckless, that want to have fun. I really think that's where they're going to go. And I'm not promoting that type of activity, but I think there's a market for it and it's going to make money.
Which, hold on, I really want to point to that Actually, I want to point this out. So out of all of these people, the reason why I feel like, even though I'm super immature a lot and Johnny can be immature, the reason why I think that everybody is really mature is because I don't feel that we go out and do stupid shit. Like most of the shit that we end up doing is literally either work related, crypto related, or us doing something like this related. So again, we don't promote you going out and doing reckless stuff, but I love this group because none of these guys like actively promote or show that if they do it. And so that's one of the things that I love about being around, people that have like integrity or trying to focus on making their life and other people's lives better. But I just wanted to add that. But yeah, so what's it called again?
It's called Full Send Metacard by Nelk Boys.
Got it. And who are those boys? Who are they?
They have a massive YouTube channel. They got like 7.5 million followers on their main channel. And then they have one of the largest podcasts on YouTube. It's got like 1.5 million followers. They've done Dana White, Mike Tyson, Antonio Brown, Gary Vaynerchuk, and the names go on and on.
Got it. Cool. All right.
Yeah, I really like that project as well. I think it'll be really, really big as well. The community already around it is huge.
Who is some of the community around it?
Go ahead, Abs.
Oh, Logan Paul, Justin Bieber. I keep bringing this up, but Gary Vaynerchuk, Steph Curry. Those are just the ones I can remember off the top of my head, but there are several others.
Nice.
Cool. So what's your favorite project, Johnny? And then we'll end with Mario.
So if you want to see wild and crazy stuff, you can go watch those guys on Jackass. If you want to make generational wealth, you come here to the Academy. And that's what we're going to do here. My favorite.
Chickens.
Yeah.
We're going to get you to buy chickens.
Yeah, that's about as wild as we get. Is we get to watch chickens wobbling around the track.
Although Pagaxi, the 3D version of Pagaxi is fun to watch. The 2D version, I would be like, okay, this is whatever. But like, you could probably watch the Pagaxi 3D over and over and be fine.
Yeah. My favorite project right now, it's a coin. It's a utility coin. It's called Quant. Symbols QNT. I love this project because it really is, in my opinion, going to be the technology we need to evolutionize and enable Web 3.0, right? So Web 2.0 is where we are today, that everybody's familiar with. And the thing is, we take technology for granted, right? When people send an email, they type it, they hit the send, and that's it. They don't care what happens. It just gets where it's got to go, right? That's all they care about. It's got to get to that person. But all the shit in the background that has to happen to make that happen, there's a ton of technology happening there to make these things talk. And that's what TCP/IP did for the internet. And that's what Quant is going to be. You get all these different blockchains, but they don't know how to talk to each other yet. Somebody's got to create interoperability and connect these all together. And there's like Atom and Chainlink that are trying to do it, but there's no company as far ahead of the game as Quant is. And some of the people on their team and some of the members on the board of directors, all the way up to the Rockefeller Foundation, that's an exciting, fun project. And I've been dollar cost averaging, full disclaimer here, I have been dollar cost averaging into Quant because I believe in the long run, it will be the standard that everybody uses to communicate. And that's just going to be tremendous, tremendous value when all these blockchains are talking through the Quant technology.
Sweet.
So I love it.
All right, Mario, what's your favorite project?
I'm really glad that Johnny didn't say an NFT because I was starting to get concerned because I didn't have a favorite NFT because it was Gambling Apes. But then when I got my $30 payout for a whole month, I was very disappointed.
And how much did you pay for your Gambling Ape?
I was lucky. I got in early, so I maybe paid like the most expensive one. I think was like $600.
Yeah,
but
that's not bad. That's not bad for $30. But is that paid out? Is that paid out quarterly or monthly? I can't remember whenever we talk about it.
Monthly. I mean, I guess it's not bad. It's their first month, and they just started the casino, so it's got to build user base and all that stuff. But
I think they're going to blow up eventually, especially once they get the casino in the metaverse. Like, I don't know if you saw what,
I think that's what it's going to take is for a casino actually to be in the metaverse up and running. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw what Slotties is doing. They're making a whole metaverse, like kind of like LA, Los Angeles is. So it'll be cool to see what the casino verse is like.
Yeah. And I'm like you, Jeremy, all these NFTs that I purchased, I haven't sold a single one yet. But on a favorite project, I mean, I got to say that my favorite, and I mean, you guys are going to know, it's got to be Nodes.
Right. We didn't talk about, so real quick, we didn't talk about Nodes. I am going to have Mario come on the show, and we're going to deep dive a little bit more into Nodes. Because Nodes I think Nodes are one of the most powerful, besides the blockchain itself and what I was talking about, but none of it can really happen without the Nodes, I guess. But Mario would be able to explain that, and we're going to explain that on next week's episode. But point being is that Nodes are really important, and so you guys should listen when Mario's on to talk about Nodes. Okay, go on, Mario.
But yeah, I'm not going to get into specific projects this time. I'm just going to say Nodes in general, just because, and again, it's because it's providing me a passive income. So it's been really good for me to be able to create a little bit more freedom to do things like this, sit here and just talk about crypto and
for 2 hours.
Chickens.
Yeah. So when you go and talk to your wife when you're done with this, and she's like, "Oh, what did you guys talk about?" And you're like, "Crypto and chickens," and she's like, "Oh, that's why you couldn't."
I love it when he says, "What are we having for?" When he says this, "What are we having for dinner tonight?" And she goes, "Oh, we're having chicken and pasta."
Right.
Chicken on the dinner.
So again, guys, I thank you so much for being on the podcast. And again, still testing out some of the interview phases and seeing how I want to do them moving forward. So thank you so much for being on. And I will definitely have you guys all back on. And hopefully we can do more Twitter spaces. And so the very, very, very last thing, and then we're ending this, is so you guys have a Twitter account together, which is
3T Research.
Okay, so people can find it if they go to Twitter at 3T Research.
Correct.
Okay, and I'm a huge fan of Twitter Spaces, so I'll eventually probably start doing Twitter Spaces on my Age of Jeremy Twitter. But you guys have done one Twitter Space on the 3T Research. Do you have a plan to do other Twitter Spaces on it?
Yep. We'd love to. We want to start doing them weekly.
Okay. So then Johnny can get fired from his job because he will never be doing his job.
I'm telling you, I'm definitely looking. There's definitely not enough time in the day right now. Okay. That is for sure. We're gonna need to do something about that. That's for sure.
So then, Mario, where can people find you on social media?
I'm most active. I'm definitely not on Facebook. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out there. But yeah, I'm most active on Twitter, and you can find me at Node Defender, and that's all together. Node Defender. Perfect.
And then Abs.
So I run the 3T account for our Twitter. Okay. And also you can find me on Instagram. I'm really not too active on social media. I find that Coach JV's platform that's enough for me. So if you want to get a hold of me, the best place to go is Coach JV's platform on the Warrior Academy. But also you can find me on Instagram at Abdullah Nasik, just my name. And if you can't spell that, then tough luck. You're not going to find me.
Fair enough. All right. And I think I spelt it wrong multiple times, and I can't say it either. So I'm never going to find
It's you. It's Abdullah.
Yeah, Abdullah. And I say it wrong all the time. Okay, Johnny, where can people find you?
Well, his girlfriend will be happy to know that no other girls can seek him out if they can't spell his name right. But they can find me primarily at Twitter at Johnny Krypto with a K. Johnny Krypto 00, and also on YouTube. Although I only got like one video.
You
up
have
there,
one video.
Yeah, one.
Although to be honest, the content of that video wasn't bad. I watched it the other day, and I was like, besides cleaning some of it up, what you did was perfect.
Yeah, if I had some real help video guys around, it could have been a lot better. But yeah, so Johnny Krypto with a K on YouTube. Or or Johnny Krypto 00 at Twitter.
Mario, do you have YouTube, or you not want to talk about that?
Well, I will be starting my YouTube. It's already up. Yeah, you can just look up No Defender, or you could just go off the link that's on Twitter. But thank you for mentioning.
And then I'll have links to all of these in the episode description, and hopefully you can actually listen to this episode, because apparently you can't listen to any episodes right now. And then NFT Tones, where can people find you?
So Capital, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, basically anything except Facebook. And it would be Capital NFT, lowercase Tones, because if you put it any other way on YouTube, you can't find me. So put it that way.
Why does no one is on Facebook?
I personally just don't find Facebook like I don't know, useful. Like, I don't know.
No, I'm
For me, it's like the people on Facebook we don't have similar interests. If you're going to be on a social media platform, you're probably on Twitter, probably on Instagram, but once you get to Facebook, it becomes a marketing and a political campaign.
So I have Facebook, but and I only recently do stuff on it to capture a specific demographic. But I usually refer to old people being on Facebook, which is really sad because the old people that I'm referring to are me.
Yeah, I was going to say, thanks, Jerry. Take it easy. I use Facebook too.
Well,
okay?
I know that's what I'm saying. So like when you're like, if you're a millennial or older, you have Facebook. Or an older millennial and older, you have Facebook. If you're younger, you can segment them off. But anyway, it's just funny.
Yeah, I hate
Facebook, so that's my personal.
Well, they did a study. I think 35 and older is where you'll find a lot of Facebook. So I guess Mario will be on his way out of Facebook pretty soon.
Hey, Mario's got a few years. Mario's a young
guy. He's got 5 years. He's got 5 years.
Well, like I said, a few more years and Mario will be on Facebook.
By then, Facebook might be 40. And
I'm just
good point. Move with it.
I'm just surprised our 50, 60-year-old sounding Abdullah is not on Facebook. But
no. It starts and ends with my voice.
I feel like the people on Facebook aren't hip.
No, they're not. Whoa. They're not at all. I have no problem making fun of Facebook and still using it because I'm not a fan. My new favorite platform is Twitter because of all the changes that they're making. And I even found out about more changes that they've made that they're launching that I'm in love with. And like with their news, I think Mario, were you telling me about it or John was, and then I went and researched it, but there is their newsletter feature where you can now have a specific news campaign built into your Twitter and people can sign up for it in Twitter and send it out.
That's cool.
Cool. And so that's really, really cool. And then the other thing that I love TikTok. So, I don't know. I'm on TikTok. So you should all get TikTok. And then, we can make dance videos. All right, guys. So anyways, thank you so much. I will have you guys back on and I will talk to you guys later.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jeremy.
For having us, Jeremy.
Of course.
We love you. Love you, brother.
All right. Bye. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you for all of your support. If you want to learn more about my businesses, you can visit ageofradio.org or 3twarrioracademy.com. You can also join 3T Warrior Academy, which helps you with fitness, motivation, health, wealth, and crypto. It's our online Warrior Academy platform. There's tons of courses. There's help with things. There's our 120-day challenge, which I'm in the middle of right now. Probably got to fill out that bad boy. So Coach Kelly doesn't get on me. If you want to start a podcast or be on the podcast, email me at jeremy.quintanilla@ageofradio.org. So if you want to be on the podcast, email me at jeremy.quintanilla@ageofradio.org. And last but not least, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to The Age of Jeremy. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. If you can do me a favor, please rate this podcast if your podcatcher allows you to. Talk to you soon.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.